Alright, so we're on Chapter 3, SAM Project 1A. I've got the document file here, the Excel file, and I've got our directions. As always, after you download the document file, the Excel file, rename it with _2 before you try to submit it. And let's get started. It says, move the sheet 4 May 2015 revenue detail to the left of the sheet 11 May 2015 revenue detail. So, in order to move a sheet, all we need to do is just click on the sheet, left click and hold, and then we can see the little arrow that came in on the left hand side, and just drop it right there. Step 2. On the 4 May 2015 revenue detail sheet, freeze rows 1 through 3, and it says hint, select cells A4 as the cell in which to freeze the panes. So, what we need to do here is we're going to click on cell A4 and we're going to go to View and where it says Freeze Panes up here in our window. Okay, now there is a drop down. I can click on the drop down. It gives you 3 options and we're going to choose the first one, which is right here. So I can either just click that or click this. Okay, now what that's done is it's freezed the rows 1, 2, and 3. So as I scroll, you can see that none of these go away and it shows all the way through. This becomes very useful in instances when you have a lot of data or a large sheet. And in that instance, just to give you an idea, let me unfreeze the panes and show you that it would be better to freeze this pane. Freeze. Now, as I scroll down, if this was a large sheet, I can see what the date is, the zone, so I can see the different zones. So it would show me if I'm looking at a number, what zone it was in. Okay, it'd be very easy. So let me back up. I'm going to unfreeze the panes and then go back to cell A4 and freeze the panes. There we go. So, it says 3, delete column M. So I need to scroll over a little bit. You see there's a column M. Now there's a few ways you can do this, but the easiest way is to right click once you're hovering over and delete. Now let's move on to number 4. Let me move this up here. It says create a sparkline in cell L5 based on the data in B5 to J5. Copy the line sparkline you create to cell L5 in the range L6 to L1. Okay, so let's start by just selecting our cell L5. Now it says we're going to create a line sparkline. Okay, so let's go to Insert. Okay, now this is shorter. Normally it's out a little bit longer. But you can see that there's a thing that says Sparkline, okay? And we have 3 different versions. We have a line, a column, and a win-loss. So it says line sparkline, so I'm going to click line sparkline. Now it says data range is B5 to J5. So just like this, I don't have to do anything. I just need to left click and hold and select B5 to J5. I don't want to select K5 because that's a total. And then click OK. And as you can see, it puts in what's called a sparkline. Every notch on this sparkline is a different week. Okay, it's meant to give you an idea of what the sales are like throughout that week, or in this case, throughout each zone. So at the very bottom, we have zone 1, and the second little notch is zone 2. The notch coming down, it's 3, and so on and so forth. Now it says we're going to copy the sparkline from L5 to L6 to L11. So in order to copy, we just move to our fill handle, left click and hold, and drag down. And we're all done. So, number 5. In the stacked column chart with the title Revenue per Dispatch Center, add a primary horizontal axis of title Dispatch Center and a primary vertical axis of title revenue, or of revenue. So, here, what we're going to do is insert something that comes over on this side and underneath here. Alright, so let's start by, what we need to do is come up to our chart tools, click on design, and we have a button over there that says add chart element. I'm going to drop down and choose Axis Titles because that's what it asked us to look for. And we'll start with the primary horizontal. Now you can see that it's added the box right here. Now I'm not going to click anywhere, I'm not going to highlight anything. I can simply change this title, which we are supposed to add as Dispatch Center just by typing. You can see that my text is just typing right in here. I didn't touch anything, I didn't highlight. And then if I hit enter, it changes the name for me. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing, but this time add a primary vertical axis. So we go to our Axis Titles, primary vertical. We see that it adds something over here. And now we're supposed to have revenue. So just type in revenue, hit enter, and it's added to our charts. Okay. Now it says change the style of the stacked column chart to chart style 3. It says third column, first row of the chart styles panel. So because we have this selected, we have the dots, our little circles all around the outside, we have a chart style menu, and then it's saying third column, which is going to be here. Okay, so if I click on this and I hover over, it says style 3, chart style 3. That's what we want. Just click that once, changed our chart. Beautiful. Okay. Now it says in the stacked column chart, change the number format of the vertical axis to a counting style with 0 decimals. So we can see right here that it's got a different style. Okay. So we want a counting with no decimals. Right now we have just a number format with 2 decimals. So if I double click on the numbers, it brings up this little menu here. Okay, and this is not what I want. I need to select that first. So click in the numbers first so that it's selected, not that. Double click. Now we get what we're looking for. Now the secret is that when we format the axis, you can see that we have all these options. Okay, we can change the numbers, we can do all kinds of things, but what we need to do is come down to this little drop down that says number. Okay, and we want to change it from a number to a counting, which we can see it add the accounting, and then change the decimal places from 2 to 0, and I can X out of this, and now you see that we have a counting style with no decimals. Alright, so our next step is in the 3D pie chart titled Share of Total Revenue, add data labels to this chart using the outside end style. Okay, so I'm going to select our pie right here. Okay, and some things that you can really, some things are very easy just by right clicking, and you can see that it has an add data labels. And then if I click my data labels, I can go down to right-click my data labels, format data labels, and you can see that it says I've got the label position, okay? And in this, we want outside end. And it moves them to the outside. I'll X out of that. And now it shows all the data labels on the outside end. There are different ways to do that. I just found that right-clicking on the pie, so you click on the pie and right-click it to add the data labels first, and then right-click on a data label to change it or format them, is the easiest way for me. Alright, so it says now switch to the 11 May 2015 revenue details sheet. And that would be this one right here. And select A4 to K4. So I'm going to select A4 to K4. And rotate the text to 45 degrees. Okay, so this one isn't very difficult. But if you look at this sheet, you can see how it's written up here at a 45-degree angle, and this one isn't. So what we want to do is change it to be that. Up in our alignment tab, we have this little button right here. It says orientation. You can just click that. Alright, and it says angle counterclockwise. And now you'll see at a 45-degree angle, Our sheets look exactly the same now. So it says change the Sparkline style for L5 to L11 to Sparkline style accent 6. No dark, no light. So I need to change these, their style. So one of the things you always do is if you highlight something, there's always sometimes a, yeah, that was good. No, there's sometimes an extra little tool tab. So click on design. And now it's saying that we want Sparkline style accent 6, no dark, no light. We can see here it says dark green. This is dark blue. So what we're looking for is accent 6. So it says accent 5, no darker, no light. So let's go accent 6, no darker, no light. So you can see that it says green, Sparkline style accent 6, no dark, no light. We're going to click on that. Okay. And then it says use the entry in cell A5 to fill A6 to A11 with consecutive dates. So this is just a simple fill. I just got to use my fill handle, drop down, and create those by left clicking and holding on the fill handle. Alright, it now says change the fill color of range A12 to K12 to standard yellow. Alright. So A12 to K12, I highlighted that. It says standard yellow. Fourth column in the standard colors palette. So let me show you two things here. One, there's a standard color palette and a theme color. So standard color, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's one way to do it. The other way, whenever you're looking for standard yellow, is that is the default color on this little button right here. So if I click that, it's standard yellow. Now it says use the recommended charts tool to create a clustered column chart based on the ranges A4 to J11. So let's grab A4 to J11. Okay. Now when you add a chart, you can go to Insert. Now it says recommended charts. So we're going to click on that. First thing it says is, oh, let's make it a clustered column. So that was the first opportunity. Click OK. It's going to populate here. It says move the chart to its own sheet. Use 11 May 2015 revenue chart as the name. So I'm actually just going to copy this for ease. And I'm going to move the chart. There's two ways. I can right click in the open, move chart, or I can click this button that says move chart. It both brings up the same thing. I'm going to click on new sheet and then rename it 11 May 2015 revenue chart. Click OK. Now it's its own sheet. Let me move this over here. And we can see that it comes before. This was the sheet we were working on. Now it's the sheet before the one we were working on. All right. Now, in the clustered column chart, create in step 13, change the chart title to Revenue per Dispatch Center week of May 11, 2015. So again, just to make this easy, I am going to copy this, click on my chart title, paste it up here, hit enter, and it changes that text for me. The other way you can do that, let me back up, is you can double click in here. In this case, you might just highlight. I always find it's easier to just paste and hit enter up in the function entry box here. Okay. Then it says add a primary horizontal axis of dispatch center. So we did this before, but just to follow through again, add chart element, and it's asking for a primary horizontal. I'm going to paste dispatch center here because I copied it. Okay, and it's going to replace the text, and we have dispatch center. And I'm going to copy revenue and add a primary vertical. Click revenue, enter, and we're all done. Okay, number 15. In the clustered column chart, change the number format of the vertical axis to the accounting style with 0 decimals. Okay, so we can see here, if I select first, I have to select the numbers, double click. I usually double click on a number to get my format menu, and go to number. We can see that it's already accounting. We just need to change the decimal places to 0 and X out, and you can see that we got rid of our decimals. Alright. Now it says switch to the 2016 revenue projection sheet. That is this sheet right here. It says edit the formula in C7 so that the reference to cell C4 is an absolute reference. Copy the formula in C7 to the range C8 to C11. Okay? So, if we go to C7, we can see that we have C4 B7 times 52. Now, if I click on these numbers, it's going to show me what is going on. So here, C4 is blue, which means that this is our the reference that we need to make absolute reference. Red is going to be taking downtown by this, and then we're going to revenue kind of check against this revenue to get us our number. So there are two ways to make this absolute. We can click before the C, add a $, click before the 4, add a $, and hit enter. And now, if I copy this, everything works out wonderfully. But what if I don't do that and I leave it the way it was? What you get is that if I click here, we can see that everything goes where it needs to be. If I click on this, you can see that now it's trying to multiply everything by this blank space. That's why we make this cell absolute, so that it's always referring back to this cell every time that it copies. So what's the second way to do it? Very easily. Click in between C4 or around C4 and hit the F4 key. It'll make it absolute. I hit enter to get out. I just drag and fill. And there we go. We have all of our totals. And everything is absolute. So if I come down here, we can see that it's always pointing to cell C4. And then multiplying by this to get that. Okay? Now it says perform a goal-seek analysis to determine what value of cell C4 would result in the citywide total revenue, cell C12, equaling 60,000. It says tip C4 will be the changing cell. Keep the result of the goal-seek analysis as the new value for cell C4. So, in order to do a goal-seek, what we're going to do is come and click on cell C12, because that's what we're trying to get. We want $57,231,096 to equal $60 million. Alright, so we need to go to goal seek, which is going to be, I believe, in our data tab. And it is in our forecast under the what if analysis. Now if this were a larger, it might actually already be sticking out. And there's a entry here that says goal seek. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open up a box for us. So if we go back here, it says that tip cell C4 will be the changing cell. So the changing cell is C4. Okay? To value is 60 million. Okay? And the set cell is where it's going to display, and then we click OK. Now we're good. Alright, so what we see is this value changed here to increase to make this equal $60 million. So we need to generate $1,153,846 a week in each of these districts to generate the $60 million that we're looking for. That's our goal. Alright? Okay, so it says zoom the 2016 revenue projection sheet by 150%. So zooming a sheet is right down here. Now, this is a little condensed at the bottom here, but we can see the little minus and little plus, and it says 100%. If I click on the plus, it goes to 110. So I just click it 5 times, it says 150%. Okay? You can see that I've got a custom. So if, another way I can do this is, let me back off. I can click on the 100%, click custom, type 150, hit OK. Now it's up to 150%. All right. 19. Switch to the credit card transaction sheet. Now it's hidden around here. So one of the things you can do is come over to this little button right here, where you can usually just click on the first letters and it will populate. It says in cell B11, use the if function to check whether the value of B9 is less than 70,000. So B11 is right here. So our if function. So we're going to add an if function. So equals if, which brings up if, and it tells us, checks whether a condition is met, and returns one value true and another value if false. So I can double click the blue, or I can just open a parentheses to get started. So the logical test here is written out. Is B9 less than $70,000? So I want to start by clicking on B9, using the less than sign, and then typing in 70,000. Okay. And then if we look down, it says if this condition is true, the function should multiply the cell B9 by 0.03. For the value is true, use B9 times 0.03. So, test value if true. Now I get to the next argument, and these are arguments, by hitting the comma. Test value if true, so we're going to take B9 again, just click the B9 cell, times 0.03. Okay, that is our true argument. I move to our false argument. Now it says if this condition is false, the function should multiply the value by 0.025 and then add 350. So it tells us what we need to add here. So I'm going to click on B9, multiplied by 0.025, and then plus 350, close my parentheses and hit enter. Okay, and then it says copy it from B11 to C11 to D11. Okay, so what this has done is calculated a transaction cost based off of how much money has been used in a credit card scenario. So the more money that you spend, the more that it costs you. All right, and over 70,000 adds an additional $350. All right, well, thank you very much for following along, and I hope you had a great week.